In 2002, the base price of oil was about $20 a barrel. By 2008, that price had swollen to around $145 a barrel. In that same time frame, American household wealth rose by 40% from just under $40 trillion to just over $65 trillion. It is interesting to note that the rising overall casualty rate of the Iraq War tracks closely to the rising base price of oil and the subsequent rise in American wealth during that same time period. This is because the chaos of war in an oil-producing country slows down production and delivery. A basic precept of economics is that when supply is disrupted, demand rises and the price for that commodity goes up. America's massive reserves of oil circa 2002 were not considered viable because of the large cost of production at that time. To make the fracking of American oil reserves profitable, the price of oil must be as high as possible. The only thing standing in the way of massive profits by America's oil industry was the cut-rate sale of Iraqi oil by Saddam Hussein on the black market. Indeed, once he was out of the way, the war in Iraq proved to be most profitable for most of the major oil companies and at historic margins. It is obvious to most economists today that American economic power, though once bolstered by low oil prices, is now built on high oil prices made possible by ongoing chaos in the Middle East. Notwithstanding the fortunes that are owed to Halliburton Corporation for oil infrastructure built since the inception of the Iraq War, as far as America's oil industry is concerned, the oil-producing Middle East might as well be blown right off the map. That includes the 10% of proven oil reserves held by Iran. It should be crystal clear at this point why American politicians like the former CEO of Halliburton, Vice President Dick Cheney, are always lobbying for sanctions against Iran while delicately stoking the embers of war in the Middle East in predictable directions. The flames of war must curtail production while also preserving Halliburton hardware not yet fully paid for. So it's really a combination of economic sanctions and political chaos in those regions that create disruptions in oil production, which drive up demand and price. Judging by the current decline in world oil prices, we might surmise that the jig is up for American oil producers. Unfortunately for them, Americans are tired of war and also happen to like paying lower prices at the gas pump. Now consider comments made by Dick Cheney about how, quote, next time they, the terrorists, will have deadlier weapons than airline tickets and box cutters.
But I do believe there'll be another mass casualty attack against the United States, and I do believe that next time they'll have deadlier weapons than airline tickets and box cutters.
They certainly will if Dick Cheney has anything to say about it. In order to drag an unwilling American populace back into war in the Middle East, we will have to suffer a calamity at least as devastating as 9/11. One would hope that our new Republican Congress doesn't decide to defund the Department of Homeland Security over something trivial in the near future. The results of such a move could be disastrous for everyone. Everyone, that is, except the American oil industry.
News from the can.